What's up, mortgage coach community? Dave Savage here, sitting down with Brian McCauley well, I'm not in Dallas, Texas. I'm outside of Portland, but what's up, Brian? You're in Dallas, right?
I am, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I can't believe I've never interviewed you. I mean, it's amazing that you did about 120 million in production last year. Is that right?
We did. We did.
You're going on 2,000 TCA, so that would make you a second degree grandmaster. You got some catching up to do with your coach Jeremy Forcier. He's a seventh degree. I think he's done over 7,000 TCAs. So some catch up on that. But you're kicking his butt on social media. You're at 27,000 followers on Instagram, and I didn't check you out on TikTok, but you said you've got about 60,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah, luckily, man, I picked up a little audience. It's been helpful, man.
Cool. Well, I am looking forward to just hearing your story and how you're using advice and social media as a differentiator, and how is it helping you convert more clients, generate more leads, and just be more successful. So since this is the first time I've interviewed you, why don't you just tell myself and the mortgage coach community a little bit about your mortgage practice?
Yeah, man. So appreciate you having me on. Been a big fan for a while, using Mortgage Coach for years. I don't know how I'd survive without it. There's a lot I'm doing with it. There's a lot I'm not doing, which I'm looking forward to learning more and getting that done. But, uh, mortgages, as I've learned in my 15-year career, there's so many other pieces versus rate and payment, right? And to be able to illustrate that in a professional way to clients so they get it how we get it, it's an art and a science. And I think that Mortgage Coach presents the opportunity to put together an illustration and show people more to the story in an offensive way, and a way that helps create value not only for us as the mortgage partner, but unlocks a lot more financial doors in their brain. And so I use this again as a tool to kind of tell people, hey, what's the highest and best use of the money? Let's talk about it, and then I'll show you. And this helps people put themselves in a position of understanding versus just thinking about the loan only.
You said so many things right there that I loved. I loved unlocked financial doors that they might not have other had, their mortgage story. So you clearly get it, and you see a lot of value. Tell us about your team, because you're doing a lot of production. I think you told me at the beginning of the call that I don't know if it was last month or this month, you did a little over 15 million and 44 loans. So I mean, you're doing a lot of volume. What's your team look like?
A lot of volume. Wonderful team. I'm so thankful for them. I mean, this is a team game no matter what, and so the team's growing rapidly. Right now we just hired on a couple more people, but this week we were at about 11. I've got a couple front end loan partners,
two. When you say a couple, two.
So I've got three that help me facilitate lead, set up conversations and all that. I've got one junior partner, which is like a loan partner in the making. She's in the shadows, so she does a little bit of like follow up, chasing, text messages as the partner. Couple processors, what we call LP2s or loan partners on the back end. 3 processors. I've got 2 what I call anchors, so a front end anchor and a back end anchor. The front end anchor is a team captain. She's a former LO. So she helps kind of air traffic control on deals and training and making sure nothing falls through the cracks. And then I've got a processing manager on the back end who is, the superhero of the back end. And then in conjunction with those, what I call the behind the team teammates, but they deserve just as much as credit as the front line. We've got a disclosure specialist who helps kind of get disclosures, order outs, all that done. And then I've got a marketing manager and a personal assistant. So they're great teammates. I'm a big process and systems guy, a big technology guy. So we're just scaling and growing in a controlled way. Volume is fun, but it has to be controlled because I care about people's quality of life.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I could tell by the way when we first started talking, and I said, hey, let's do an interview. You're leveraging team. You came prepared. I bet you come on time all the time. You're just a total pro. That I can see a couple dragons in the back, so we know you're killing it in the core. You're a leader. So when you said you leverage technology, why don't you just walk us through your tech stack real quick? What technology are you using aside from Mortgage Coach?
Great. I use Flowify. So Flowify is a good, portal for dot gathering and facilitation to the clients, and obviously giving realtors the access to the pre-approval. It's a game changer from a bandwidth standpoint, but it also helps when you write workflow rules on the follow-up. So Flowify for that part. I use Jungo again. Thanks to you for that. Jungo's, our CRM. A lot of data, a lot of little workflow rules and everything in there. And then I use McCauley, which is my texting platform. So that's a texting platform that integrates with Jungo and the contact record. In our industry, people know you say a lot of the same things all the time from start to finish, and it can be a little bit of a burnout if you're having people manually do it. So if you create those touch points start to finish on multiple platforms, and what I did is spend a lot of time building that out from start to finish in bite sizes. So like the first 5 things you say from lead to conversation to pre-approval, all the way through. And I framed them and worded them in a way that I feel that is best from a sales and a value standpoint, not only to convert the client and make them feel better, but it gives the teammates a lot more help when they can say the right things at every point. It makes the client feel better and the agent. And then as you grow, and you replicate the pieces of the puzzle with teammates, it's just very easy to, when I add Dave on as a loan partner, I just recreate the text messages, but it's from your number with your actual name. And that way it's it's a little bit more of a turnkey. And it's just been very helpful from communication and conversion.
Love it. Love it. Well, that's great. And I wouldn't even call it text, just an advice. You clearly are an advisor. I think you position yourself on social media as a mortgage guru. And so it's a mortgage guru technology platform so that you can do that at scale, keep promises and deliver advice. So I love that. Now you're also taking media pretty seriously.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm just playing games on Facebook. Walk us through your media stack.
So, social media for me is just a big deal because obviously it continues to grow at such a rapid pace. It's not going away. People are paying attention to it. Your brand recognition and your content distribution in this day and age is an extension of you. The mortgage business, it has a gap there, right? People do it sometimes, but there's no foolproof plan. It's not consistent. There's no variation of it, and it's just a little stale. So like I mentioned before, I got the idea from Gary Vee back in the day and just realized, man, that guy's out there everywhere all the time talking about, stocks and social platforms and entrepreneurship. And so that gave me the idea to try to become that version in our industry. There was no leader in the marketplace. I felt that there was a huge advantage if I could take advantage of it. And it's helped me from, again, the recognition, connecting with the younger generation. But also, a lot of times clients these days and age and agents want to do a little research on the lender to figure out what's their backstory, right? Are they pretending to be a champion, or are they a champion? And the hard part about our industry is that, somebody says they're a great quarterback, we all get to see them on the field and we get to see all the film on them. A lot of times in our industry, you don't get to see the film on people, so you're not really sure given the appearance. And so I like the fact that, we have a long history of helping a lot of families. The social component adds to that. And I like to give a variation. I don't talk a whole lot about the mortgage stuff. I throw it in there, but I do a lot of, financial strategy, a lot of stuff to agents on lead generation, time management, a lot of the core stuff that I've learned just to add more value. So it's been a really good thing for me. I'm continuing to push on it and grow. And I think it's added a lot of value to the outside world.
So, when you describe that, I could tell that not only did you describe Facebook, but you also you didn't say experience.com, formerly known as Social Survey, but you look at your media platform, experience.com, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What else? What am I missing from there?
Those are the main 4. I mean, given my age at 40.
What about YouTube? Are you doing anything with YouTube?
So that's my next thing. So YouTube is the next one that I'm putting together, just because, again, it's getting so big and so deep and people are going to it so fast. So YouTube is the one gap that I have in my social platform that I'm starting to add. I'm taking a little bit of a different direction on that, which is more of a get to know me role, more about mortgage secrets. And then I'm put together kind of some, small version of coaching on there, really to help LOs that don't have a good playbook. When I came in back in February 7th, 2005, it was like, dude, here's 2 weeks of training, a lending tree lead, get on it. And right, if I can do a better job of paying it forward and helping people kind of get through all the mud and the quicksand faster through YouTube and videos, it's helpful because I think there's a lot of athletes in this industry. They're just not coached by the right people and don't have a good playbook. And so I'm trying to put that together.
So by the way, you just did a sports metaphor. Were you an athlete? Are you an athlete?
I am. I am. I'm not the biggest athlete by any means, but I'm a good one and a tough one. So my first love is basketball. But the older I get, obviously, the less I can play and the less games I can find. But I'm a golfer at heart. So
Love
uh,
it.
golf is my passion now.
It was a pretty good weekend for us golfers watching Mickelson crush it at 50. That was insane.
Insane.
That was so much fun. I'm into lacrosse. My son plays lacrosse, so it was a big weekend in our family. We had two lacrosse games both day, and then we had the golf game. So it was like I watched a lot of TV this weekend.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right, cool. So I know I'm going to want to know more about TikTok because that's coming up, and I really haven't talked to a lot of ballers. You know, I put you in that category. You're killing it. You're a baller. You're doing over 100 million, and you're putting focus on social media. I am seeing a lot of people on TikTok being busy,
Right.
but I'm not like, okay, you're $100 million producer. Like I've looked up some of the TikTok influencers and I'm like, they're not doing that much business.
Right.
So you're one of the, and I'm not saying there aren't some. So by the way, guys, if you're listening to this and you're doing real volume, which to me is over 50 million, I mean, 100 million, you're franchise player, you're doing over 50 million, you're killing it. If you're doing over 25 million, you're killing it. But if you're doing less than 25 million, there's some room for growth. I think, you know, in the mortgage business, 50 units a year is a good sustainable number, and over 100, over 200, over 300. Okay, now you've really built a mortgage practice. And I'm not seeing a lot of folks like that on TikTok. Why are you on TikTok and what are you doing? Just real quick, I want to just understand it.
Yeah, social media for me is not about generating leads. It's about brand recognition and deepening the digital footprint because the world is headed that way. People want to discover who you are, they want to know more about you, right? And so if you don't have that presence outside of calling you and talking to you, how are they going to know? So the purpose of it for me is, again, to expand, to piggyback off of it. It's in my signature to let people know who I am, what I'm about, the direction I want to go without having to discover that organically through just a phone call. And it's helped because a lot of people, again, want to know, you know, hey, this is my person, or if I'm, you know, recruiting a realtor or a home builder or a divorce attorney, if you're out there and you have all this stuff, it helps solidify.
It builds credibility, instant credibility.
Right. And the good news is, you know, sometimes respectfully, people can appear to be one thing on social, but they don't have any wins on the back end. Being that I'm 40, if they want to look at my own numbers and things of that nature, I like the fact that I have both in a respectful way. Present well online, capture more audience, get a little more recognition, but at the same time, you know, I have some wins. And so it helps. And so that's just something I added to my overall platform to try to help our brand moving forward.
Love it. So it's so kind of, I mean, I think Dan Keller, and you know Dan, he's a core brother. You do know Dan, right? Yeah. And his goal is to be the most well-known, well-recognized loan officer to realtors in the Seattle market. So they may not do business with me, but they know me. Oh, that Dan Keller guy. It sounds like that is central to your social media why. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is. It's a component of what I'm trying to add from a recognition standpoint. It's not from a boastful standpoint, but it's one of the things to where, you know, people can do their own discovery and make decisions on what means most to them. And I think knowledge and skill set and recognition and having some depth to who you are matters, and social provides that. And, you know, like we mentioned, there's more to mortgages and buying a house than just the actual rate. And so the more that I expose that in a good way online, it will lead people in the right direction, whether it's paying off debt, investing, difference of notes, TCAs, and all that. I think it just helps people understand how to buy a house. And if you can be that voice of reason and that expert position through social, it helps drive them to you.
Agreed. By the way, Deborah Burgess, I just checked comments in live and she said, Brian's amazing, Dallas representing. So that's cool. And then she said, I challenged Brian to a 3-point basketball challenge.
I'm in.
And we could go and we could do it live. So we'll have a little mortgage coach 3-point challenge. You game on that?
Dude, I'm a competitor at heart. I never back down.
Right on. I don't know if you watched it, but we did the Modern Real Estate Summit, Todd Bookspan and I, a couple of weeks ago. Were you familiar with that event?
Yeah, I've watched about 50% of it. That Scriptapalooza, everything, dude.
Oh, cool. So you're game on.
Yeah.
You're in the crew. So did you notice some of the agent advantage videos that we did where I had a number of mortgage coaches, Denise Donahue in your local market, kind of get on stage and say, hey, I'm a mortgage coach, and then teach a strategy? Did you see any of those?
I did, and I think it's great. Denise, I mean, she's a master Jedi, dude. I've looked up at her for a while. She knows her stuff. She's a TCA expert. I'm way behind on that, but watching that stuff and seeing it, it just tells me how much more I have to learn and how much more value I can give. And it's just, it's exciting and encouraging to see that, because truly it can just separate us from the competitors so quickly, and the gap can be so wide through things like that.
Well, if you want, Deborah is helping me and with the Agent Advantage playlist, and we're looking for some more originators that are mortgage coaches, grandmasters and up, that want to create some videos for agents. And if you want to collaborate, I'll actually fund it. I'll introduce you to Deborah and help create a next level video. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Dude, I'd be honored. I love that.
Okay, Deborah, you heard that. We got a collaboration here for the Agent Advantage playlist. All right, well, let's get into some specifics on advice, how to use a mortgage coach, but let's do it around the market we're in right now. I mean, it's at least the way I see it. I interviewed Greg Anderson yesterday, probably know Greg, and he is about 30% up over last year with refis down. And he said in Seattle, purchases are 10 times harder this year than last year. He's averaging about 12 offers per pre-approval, and he had one that was like 67, a couple of weeks ago. What are you like in Dallas? What's the average number of offers that you're competing to win when you put in a pre-approval?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on the price point. The smaller price point of the home, the more people that are, chomping at it. So it's a little more difficult to get, anywhere from 5 to 10. All of our clients really pre-approved. We call on every offer to make sure and say, hey, these people are real. They're not a piece of paper. Agents get anxiety because a lot of loans don't close on time and they're bumpy. And so you want to eliminate all that fear. So Texas is a hot market. Dallas is nuts. We're doing everything we can outside somebody getting, coming up with a bag of cash to help people win an offer. And I think fully pre-approved TCA, that's another thing about having a social presence. If I don't know the agent, I explain like, hey, I'm local, close on time every time. If you want to do the research, here's the deal. It helps them win the offer and feels better about who's quarterbacking the transaction. So those are just a few things that we're doing from a strategy standpoint to try to give our clients the most confidence, but also explain to them the why, outside of the advice component, why we're going to help them win.
So just to unpack that, so 5 to 10 offers on average, you're competing with on every deal. I think you said you're calling all listing agents. What percentage of the listing agents are you getting through to? They're returning your call. You're able to have an engaged, influential conversation with?
At least half. The good thing about me is I'm a big template and text guy. So if I call an agent and don't talk with them, I leave them a strong voicemail. I turn right back around and send an email, plug and play. Hey, just called you about Donald Duck. They're fully pre-approved. Get it all rocking. I want to get the message to them to, have a competitive advantage, but I know agents pay attention to that. They know pieces of paper don't matter. Who's behind it matters. And I want to make sure that I get that in their head and make sure that they understand that, all pre-approvals are created equal. The person behind it is just as important as the person that's on it.
So I just did an interview with Greg. Might want to check that out. And then I don't know if you know Michelle Castle. She's about an hour, I think, north of you. She gave a pretty sweet little script on, she says she's getting like all of them on the phone. But what I'm hearing, just to pass it on, is leading with the property, not your name. So it's like, hey, I'm calling on such and such property. And then Michelle's being pretty ambiguous. I'm calling on X property. This is Michelle Castle. It's important that you call me back.
Right.
And then Greg's given a little more transparency. And then I think both of them were doing text videos. So if they weren't able to get with the agent, they were doing a text video. Have you given that a shot? Have you tried that move?
I haven't. It's a good thing I want to incorporate. My thing is, when I try to call them and talk to them, if I know them 15 years in the business and I work with them, it's an even better thing. Because if they use me on the buy side, they know that there's no fluff, right? If we're going to close, we're going to close. If I don't know them, I'll mention we haven't met yet, hadn't had the opportunity, a little bit about me, a little bit about the client, give them a vote of confidence, give them my cell phone, say, this is my bat line, call me. I'm for real and I don't want to waste anyone's time. If I don't do that, I have an email template version of it, and then I'll text them. Lenders most lenders that are glorified application takers are not relationship based. They don't care and they don't go the extra way. And that's because they don't care. And I know if I was an agent, that would mean a lot. And there's a lot of times agents respond back and say, hey, because you called and left a message or sent that, email and did some research, they feel great about it. Which for me, if I was a buyer, I would want that lender doing that for me. And so I just try to do what I would want for myself.
Love that. Super smart. I mean, I don't know, dude, this is the first time we've ever met, but I like you. I trust you.
Thank
And
you.
anyone who's listening to this, you just notice this guy is just authentically himself, just getting after it, building teams and systems around him. I mean, I'm inspired, bro.
It's a hard business, man. It's a hard business. You got to try to do it right.
Well, it's a hard business, but it's an easy business if you love it and if you do it right. And
Correct.
You're clearly an advisor. So let's go through how you're doing advice. And I know Mortgage Coach is part of what powers your advice. Is there any other tech or systems that are essential to how you deliver advice to a family?
Yeah, it's great, man. So believe it or not, I'm a pretty big script guy. I'm a big script guy because I'm a little ADD, I'm a little fast, I want to stay on track, but I want to make sure and hit on bullet points when I'm talking to clients that moves the emotional needle and gets their antennas up. So part of what I do when I do a mortgage planning session with a client is I explain to them, I'm going to show you how to buy a house as a resource and a tool to create wealth, just not fall in love with the keys. And so that gets them thinking what do you mean? And so I explain to them hey, rate, payment, cash to close is one thing, overall financial picture is another. The way that human beings get rich is to create wealth. And you do that by eliminating debt and increasing cash flow. There's good debt and bad debt. Let's walk through it, talk about it. And then of course, I'm going to send you a recap on some stuff that I have. And then we get into the mortgage strategies. I ask them, where's your comfortable budget? Where's your out of pocket? Out of the two, which means the most and why? And then I get all that information and say, cool, what I'm going to position myself is I'm going to take your life and your goals and marry it with my brain. If I had your life with my brain, what would I do and why? And I'm going to show you that multiple ways: total costs, side-by-side comparisons, debt payoff, and cash flow, to make sure when they lay their head down on their pillow, it's the right decision in its entirety, just not on the payment. And people like that extra attention. And most people have a lot of room for improvement financially, but they get so focused on the mortgage payment or the keys or the color of the brick, they don't think outside the box. And so I try to bring them in our world in a fun way, an exciting way. And I give evidence of success. Hey, this is what I did for myself when I got married and why. Let me show you my example. I drink the same Kool-Aid. Let me show you what I would do. And they love that positive infusion. And then I convert that into TCAs on multiple levels, depending upon their scenario, send it to them so they can read through it, pay attention, revert back to it. But also we know our competitors aren't doing that. You mentioned it plenty of times. They send a fee sheet. Dude, a fee sheet is the 1800s. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And it shows that you don't know or you don't care, which, helps position us in an even stronger place.
Yeah, you just said something that's warm to my heart, and I do want to get a little tactical,
Yeah.
but it sounds like from a high level, you are letting the customer know that you're not a loan officer. You're going to help them build wealth with real estate. And I noticed you have a picture over there with the core, just to your right. You have a picture with the core. Yeah. Would you mind pulling that off and just showing the audience? Is that something that I don't know if you show that in an image.
So, the core teaches us a ton, how to be a good business person, a partner, all this stuff. So this is
Take a screenshot of that, everybody. If you haven't seen this before, it's really strong,
right.
So, okay, you can pull it down.
It's a wealth wheel, and it just shows people, the highest and best use of the money. And so after I talk to the clients, I do a recap. I do 6 steps to financial freedom. I do my own customized version of that. I do
Now, by the way, is this I just want to get tactical so people are hearing conceptually.
For sure.
Are most of your meetings on Zoom?
Majority of them now still are, yes.
Yeah. And at some point in the future, you'll kind of hey, you want to come in person or you want to do Zoom? Yeah, you'll give the customer the option, I assume. And then if they're on Zoom, it's a slide, right? You're showing them some slides.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's in person, do you have a screen set up so they can kind of you wheel them around and it slides? And then the same screen that you show the slides, when it's time to give them their personalized plan, it's a mortgage coach. And for anyone that's new to the channel, a TCA stands for total cost analysis. And we'll show you one of those in just a second. Did I get all that right?
Yeah, correct. There's one more caveat to that. So obviously, the Zoom, I'm screen sharing. If they're face to face in the boardroom, I'm screen sharing on the TV. I'm showing them everything and unpacking it, because a lot of times if you send it to it, they'll just call you back and they need to be coached through how to navigate it all. But the wealth accumulation component, again, you know, every client after I talk to them, I just say, hey, if I need to pre-approve you on Monday, I'll send you a recap tomorrow. And everything that I send in a recap is a PDF version of financial freedom, wealth accumulation, a money escalation tool, showing them, hey, take this off, pay this off, compound interest, all of that, and then a personal budget. And I tell people, like, look, you can probably save more just not eating meat casino once a month than you can on the rate. And I send that to them in kind of a customized template that says, hey, this is a way to create wealth, yada, yada, yada. And then I finish everything up. And so I do that as an extra touch point on showing them, again, as a resource and tool to create wealth. And I kind of dig through the TCAs, showing them kind of the side by sides and all that.
Well, let's pull up a TCA real quick, if you don't mind sharing your screen. And I know when we had like 5 minutes of prep before this, you mentioned, sounds like the two most common TCAs you're doing is a rent versus own. If you feel that that's tailored to where the client needs education, or just a pure TCA where you're showing mortgage options. And it sounds like you're either doing down payment or purchase price options or interest rate options like Jeremy does. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, so I think the best one to show now is really, when you're talking to clients and you're figuring out exactly the most popular TCA I do is really price points and down payment. So, in theory, if somebody says, hey, I'm looking at a $300,000 house, especially in the Dallas market, they're not going to find one at 300. They're going to be shopping and see one at 290, one at 310, one at 330. So I put together the TCAs and strategies side by side on the price points for a few things. One, to drive clarity on a low, medium, and high. I do that because I just know people are not going to stick to their bullseye all the time, and I want them to understand what $25,000 or $30,000 on the lower high end does to the bottom line to help them with the decision. So it drives clarity and it's not so cumbersome to navigate. The other thing is too, sometimes people get so hyper focused on the payment. I show them, like, look, 3% down versus 5% down. It literally saves you $30, right? Let's make sure that your money is used in the best area possible. And then the third one, the reason I do kind of a low, medium, and high on the strategy is, honestly, I care a ton about the client and the realtor having as many resources and tools while they're out in the field as they can to navigate a fast-paced market where a lot of people are looking at different price points. And so I don't want them to do what I call the boomerang effect, where I give them something and they come back and ask to run, what about 5% down? What about 300? What about 325? I do a lot of what's called front loading. So front loading is getting it all out there, getting it to them, including the agent on there. One, so it looks professional. Two, I tell everybody, dude, if you're looking at 300, I'm going to rock 300, 325, 350, low, medium, and high. So in case you get up on the upper end, you know what it does to the payments and the bottom line. I include the agent so they navigate it together. In case the agent needs questions about closing costs, it's there. But the third one is a protective mechanism for our team. I care a ton about our team's relief points and the weekends and kiddos and all that. And when you got this many people making offers on houses and going out and doing all that, dude, you can get 10, 15, 20 phone calls, emails on a weekend. Like, what about this scenario? What about that one? Well, if I front load and protect the low, medium, and high, the chances of a client or a realtor having to reach back out to us and ask all these questions reduces all that. And so what it does, it also protects the teammates' time in conjunction with giving the agent and the client all the power. So they have what they need and they don't necessarily need to come back to us. If they do, all good. But most of the time it front loads and gets that out of the way. So that way, people aren't at baseball games and doing all that and have to run 10 different scenarios. So it's a financial strategy. It's the highest and best use of the money. It's a protected team. And I always tell, clients in a nice way, like, dude, think about it if it was a game show. And the name of the game show was, what's the highest and best use of my money? And they stuck us in a boardroom for an hour. We'd figure out real quick that 10 grand into a home loan saves you 20 bucks. It's not the highest and best use of the money. You can use that in a million different places, whether it be debt payoff, investments, money escalation tool. So they get the message. And then I kind of weave all that in conjunction with the TCA.
Oh, dude, you said another word that is like one of my new favorite words, front loving. I think I love that word. It totally makes sense. Mortgage coaches unlocking financial doors that wouldn't otherwise be open. You're front loving people. Notice, everybody, that he's using strategies. So he's not just saying, 30-year fixed rate at one point. So he's not talking like every other transactional fee worksheet loan officer. It's strategy A and strategy B. And then he's putting in some some loan program context,
Correct.
but he's framing everything around strategies. So again, he's branding himself as a mortgage guru. He's giving families a deliverable. So he's not just having a better conversation on the front end, he's delivering something better on the back end. And then tell me about this. How often are you rate shopped? And I'm sure you get rate shopped less than your peers, but I've had a number of folks saying, hey, they're getting rate shopped more right now. So one, I'm curious if you're seeing an increase in the sensitivity of rate shopping.
So here's my thing.
By the way, you can stop sharing your screen if you want. Let's just talk face to face here.
When it comes to rate shoppers, basically the biggest component for me is it's part of the business. I'm not so sensitive to it anymore because sometimes, people just rate shop. They don't know any better. They don't know where to start. And that's what the conversation is around. I think for me, the biggest component about it is, we have to talk to the client and explain to them that there's more to it. I don't get rate shopped that much. The truth of the matter is if somebody starts with rate, I try to reframe the conversation and say, hey, assuming the terms are competitive, what else is important to you when it comes to buying a home and selecting a lender to take care of you? That's okay. If somebody's looking for the Dollar General store or the Walmart, I'll bow out and say, hey man, you referred based on trust. If you're literally looking for the cheapest rate ever, I would go to bankrate.com. But I reframe their mind and say, hey, if you were picking a doctor to, do surgery on your daughter's tonsils, would you start with a copay or would you start with other stuff? So I don't get rate shopped that much. If I do, it's okay. Some people will drive 10 miles across town to save $1 on Gatorade. I'm not for them. It only hurts to lose a deal on rates if you invest a lot of time in it. But a lot of people that ask about rate, I'll ask them, why is that important to you? Well, I want the best deal. Do you mean best? Do you mean cheapest? Most people want the best overall, cheapest payment in the bottom line. So if you can reframe the conversation and show people there's more to it and the end goal is better than that, they'll accept your advice and they say, that's really, really good, right? So I try to put it back in a position to where I can help them versus defend the position. And if they want that conversation, cool. But I'm not hearing it that much because again, rates are low. I think price is only an issue when value isn't clear. My job is to provide that value. And if they want to give me some time, I definitely will.
Yeah, well, we have found at Mortgage Coach that loan officers that use Mortgage Coach, because remember, he's giving options. So the family is getting to shop. They're getting options. They're not just getting one loan. So there's less chance that they're going to shop. And then if you do get in that knife fight, not if, but when, because you're going to get shopped, sure. You can, and I don't know if you ever do this, but you can say, hey, here's my loan. Here's the competition. First of all, Jeremy Forcier's script is the best. Oh, they've got 3/8 better in rate. Would you forward me over that total cost analysis that they did for you? Mm-hmm. Oh, they didn't do that. They didn't show you the transparency of the cost over time. Correct. Oh, they didn't give you options. Oh, okay. Well, yellow light. So Jeremy's got a really good script on that. It's in our scripting playlist. Check it out, everybody. But so first of all, make your competition, if all they're doing is providing a fee worksheet, like they're holding stuff back.
Which they are.
Then, okay, now let's put in their rate as one of the options and then go to 5 years. And here's what I hear. Again, I'm not a loan officer, but I interview a lot of loan officers. I train a lot of companies on how to optimize profitability and reduce price exceptions, is that if the cost is less than $5,000 over 5 years, the education piece that you gave, the time that you spent, the options, you use HomeBot. So you're doing annual reviews and you're managing mortgages. You've got this team, you're a local expert. $5,000, you're worth $1,000 a year. By the way, if I ask you that, if the difference over 5 years was 5,000 or less, do you feel like I got this? They're going to go with me and I'm worth every penny of 5,000.
Of course.
Now, if it's over 10,000, over 5,000, okay, now maybe we need to do a price exception, but instead of doing a rate, negotiating on eighths and quarters and rate, you negotiate dollars. Right. And you might end up with an exception. So do you ever have that type of a conversation when you are navigating the rate shopper. And again, there's somewhere it's just like,
Mhm.
we're not a fit. You
Yeah.
know, you're a do-it-yourselfer. I'm a Nordstrom's. So some you just don't even negotiate. But when you do negotiate, do you do it in that context ever?
I do it in that context. I always ask, hey, just so I know where to start, this other relationship, this other lender, how did it get there? Is this somebody that you know, like, and trust, or is this referred by the agent in there? So I know the position, right? The other thing is I will say that, okay, cool, let's talk about the total cost analysis, right? Did they give you options? Did they ask you what means the most to you? Did they kind of show you long-term, short-term reinvestment? The answer is always no, but you can't be rude about it in turn. You know, you can't tear down somebody else's building to build yours up. You put these little questions in their head, so they start thinking like, why didn't they? And then 9 times out of 10, I'll say, look, here's the bottom line. You refer to me based on trust. If it's actually a better deal, I will pass on it and I'll tell you it's the best deal. Do me a favor and send it over and let's take a look at it together. Because the hard part about a loan estimate or a fee worksheet, it's like when you and I go into a doctor's office and we look at an x-ray. We know it's an x-ray, but we don't know how to read it. We need the doctor to show the details. So when they send it over, what happens 99 times out of 100 is something is wrong or there's something extra. And most of the time it's discount points or something like that. And I will ask, hey, I'm just curious, right? We talked about my TCA being at 3.25. This is 299. Did you look at line 802? There's discount points in there for $1,500. Did you ask for that? Or did they just put that in there and make it part of the package? And you know what they say. And I'm like, why do you think that happened? Are you willing to pay an extra 1,500 or talk about it? And I explained to them, there's two sides of the coin. There's rate and there's fees, and they're equally important. And lenders that don't care about you are habitually guilty of tying something in, selling you on rate, not talking about the total cost. And then I'll explain to them, hey, the difference of the rate in theory is $25 in payment, and you're going to pay $1,500 to get it. Let's do a break even on the math. So you're not going to get it back for 8 years. Is that a good investment? Yay or nay? Are you willing to pay it? Yay or nay? And then it starts to disqualify the other person without you being mean about it, but it shows them a total cost in a different direction. So that's the approach that I take is how did the relationship start? Where did it come from? How's the TC and everything look in writing? Sending it over and we'll talk about it together. And then majority of the time there are errors or extra fees or points, which leads me back to, dude, the total cost of this is a bragging right about a barbecue grill. You're spending $2,000 to save 20. That's not a good use of your money. If you want to talk about buy down and break even in TCAs, I'm with it. But it has to be elective and we talk about it together, not dangle a rate, slide some points in there and make you think it's the best deal.
Love it, man. Well, hey, dude, I could talk to you for a full hour and I would love to invite you back to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview where we just do a full, like this was a get to know you conversation and you gave so much gold. I think Deborah said it really well on Instagram, or not Instagram, but on Facebook right now in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group. She said his messaging architecture is on point. So many nuggets here. So dude, it's been pure gold. Now you said that you're averaging about 15 million a month. That would put you on track for about 180 million this year. What is your goal for the year?
We're heading there. So we're, the minimum goal was 160. The stretch goal was 200. Our team is growing quickly as well, which I'm super excited about. Just to, pay it forward, help other people out, help their families and all that. And so we'll get to 175. We should. If we can snap 200, I'd be happy. But again, numbers are great. Quality of life is more important. The older I get and I care about the teammates, but we are going far and going fast. It's a fun ride. I enjoy it. Just trying to control it and make the best of it.
I love it. So, and how much harder would you say purchases are this year over last year?
Whew. Just there's, way more bodies than there are homes. And so it's just harder for people to, capture it. At least 30 to 50% harder just because there's.
Yeah. So Greg yesterday, Anderson said they were 10 times harder. An interview that I did the other day said they were 5 times harder.
Right.
Here's what we know, audience, anyone listening to this right now, is refis are down 50%. Like that's just the facts. And purchases aren't up multiples. Maybe they're up 10%, but they're a lot harder. And this dude is increasing his production by 30-ish%. And that's what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Modern loan officers, and a modern loan officer is someone that's using tech super wisely, using media intelligently and strategically. Doesn't mean you're on Facebook surfing for news. It means you're using it to create a brand. It means you are using it for lead gen. This guy is a role model. Dude, you are the modern mortgage professional. I look forward to, if you're game, doing another interview, maybe having you on Scriptapalooza this year, or I guess next year. We already did Scriptapalooza this year. Yeah. Or no, have we done Scriptapalooza this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I watched it. I learned a ton.
Dude, I'm losing it. Like, it's May. You're right. I did it. We do have the Modern Mortgage Summit coming up though. So we've got a couple big events. So bro, I really appreciate it. Any closing words of wisdom for anyone in the mortgage coach community?
Just stay close to the people that are experts, man. Work hard, have perspective. We all should be so thankful to be in this industry. It's a hidden gem. It's a blessing. Dave, you've done incredible stuff with Mortgage Coach. I can't imagine, running the business without it, teaching the other partners how to do it. There's so many other things I've got to unlock. So, lean on each other, have an abundance mindset, give back, and work hard, man.
So anyone that's new to this channel or you're new to the business, you said something at the very beginning, and this fee worksheet, guys, this is pre-2000. So the way most loan officers quote rates, it's like pre-2000. It's the 80s. Like if you are quoting rates with something that looks like this, or it's just an email, you're a transactional loan officer. You may be giving some advice, you may be giving some education, but it's transactional education. Right. And it is the status quo. This is what 90% of families get. They get something that's confusing, they get something that's commoditized. And we're all about, guys, be a mortgage coach. Give them options, give them transparency. I saw this, I think Coach Bill Hart had this on his site last week. I agree with Bob, the former chairman or CEO of Disney. Status quo is a losing strategy. Get on the Mortgage Coach team, guys. So if you're new, go to our website, mortgagecoach.com, get a demo, sign up, get on it. And bro, I hope to interview you again. And thank you for being a leader in the community, spreading the Mortgage Coach mission.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate everything you do.
Take care, brother.
Thanks, sir. Have a good day.